Welcome to this Cinematic Explainer. Today, we're diving into exactly how different cultures and religions conceptualize the afterlife. We're going to examine everything from hard demographic data to some incredibly rich academic texts, piecing together the wild metaphysical frameworks that humans have built across centuries.
Okay, so let's jump right into this profoundly universal question, the one that has haunted and inspired humanity for literally millennia. What actually happens when we die? It's this ultimate mystery that unites us all, right? Yet the answers we've developed are staggeringly diverse. Are we talking an eternal paradise? A cycle of rebirth? Or, do we just remain right here, completely interconnected with the living?
Now, you might assume that in our modern, increasingly secular world, these beliefs are fading. But hard demographic data proves that belief in an afterlife remains a massively relevant global phenomenon. To put that into perspective, according to Pew Research, 70% of adults in the US and a staggering 85% in Indonesia firmly believe that death is absolutely not a final full stop. So, to help us navigate all this global theology, here's our roadmap for the explainer. First, life after death today. Second, judgment and paradise. Third, the cycle of reincarnation. Fourth, the power of ancestors. And finally, number 5, the universal human hope.
Let's kick things off with Section 1, Life After Death Today, Mapping Modern Beliefs. The data actually reveals a pretty stark global divide. According to that same Pew Research, large majorities in places like Latin America and Sub-Saharan Africa absolutely expect a life beyond this one. But if you flip over to populations in countries like Spain or Sweden, you see much, much lower conviction. It is a fascinating geographical split in human spirituality.
All right, moving on to Section 2. Judgment and Paradise, the Linear Path.
So, in both Christianity and Islam, the core paradigm revolves around this idea of a single earthly life followed by a definitive judgment. It's a linear path leading to an eternal destiny of either joyous paradise or agonizing separation. For Christians, this means resurrection and standing before God to enter heaven or hell. In Islam, actions are weighed on divine scales, sending the righteous to the lush gardens of Jannah and the wicked to the fires of Jahannam. But wait, the journey isn't always an immediate jump from A to B. Take the Islamic concept of barzakh, for instance. It's an intermediate resting state where the soul hangs out awaiting the day of judgment. During this time, angels named Munkar and Nakir actually question the deceased. Conceptually, this waiting period shares some fascinating philosophical similarities with the Catholic idea of purgatory, a temporary state of purification before entering heaven. Now, Judaism offers a really unique variation within the Abrahamic tradition. While ancient texts definitely mention Sheol as a sort of shadowy resting place, and later traditions speak of Olam Haba, or the world to come, Judaism frequently focuses way less on the eternal destination of the soul. Instead, the emphasis is heavily placed on tikkun olam, the active repairing and transformation of our present world through good deeds and justice right here, right now.
Let's shift our geographical focus eastward for Section 3, the cycle of reincarnation, the dharmic path.
Okay, there's a super common misconception that Hindu and Buddhist reincarnation are the exact same thing. But actually, there is a crucial theological difference here. Hinduism teaches that we possess an Atman, an eternal, individual soul that carries its distinct identity from one physical body to the next. Buddhism, however, teaches anatta, which literally means no self. So what moves between lives isn't a permanent soul, but rather a stream of consciousness. It's kind of like a flame passing from one candle to another.
Despite those differing mechanics of the soul, both traditions view life as an endless wandering wheel called samsara. And the fuel keeping this wheel spinning? That's karma, the moral weight of your actions. But here's the kicker. The ultimate goal isn't to just be reborn forever. The true objective is total liberation from this cycle of suffering. Hindus call this incredible release moksha, merging with the divine reality, while Buddhists call it nirvana, the complete extinguishing of craving and suffering.
Now, moving from the cyclic to the symbiotic, here is Section 4, The Power of Ancestors, the Symbiotic Path.
Academic literature reveals that Yoruba culture views the afterlife not as some distant heaven miles away, but as an immediate, interconnected spiritual reality. The physical world of the living, called Aye, and the spiritual realm of heaven, Arun, are intimately linked. The dead don't depart permanently. Instead, they just step behind a veil, maintaining the power to actively influence the daily affairs of their living relatives.
But, and this is absolutely crucial, ancestorhood is not guaranteed to everyone who dies. It's a highly respected, earned status. To become an ancestor in Yoruba tradition, you've got to meet 4 requirements. You must have lived an exemplary life, attained the venerability of old age, died what they call a good death, free from suicide or unclean diseases, and you must have left behind living descendants who are willing to actually remember you.
Scholar John Bitty coined the absolutely perfect term for this dynamic, the living dead. It's this symbiotic relationship where the deceased maintain an active, reciprocal bond with the living for mutual benefit. The ancestors act as advocates and protectors in the spiritual court, right? And in return, the living honor and sustain them through offerings and libations, literally pouring out food and drink to share a meal with those who came before.
Yoruba tradition also establishes a really clear hierarchy of spirits. While individual families honor their direct relatives, known as family ancestors or obundi, there's a higher tier. Ancient heroes, heroines, and the founders of cities are elevated into glorified ancestors known as akwada. Think of figures like Shango, a legendary king deified for his immense power. These glorified ancestors wield protective power not just over a single family, but over entire communities in times of crisis.
Which brings us to our final synthesis in Section 5, the universal human hope.
Whether we are talking about a Hindu Atman migrating to a new body, a Christian awaiting bodily resurrection, or a Yoruba elder receiving a poured libation, every single tradition echoes the exact same profound longing. We are a species that simply refuses to accept that our consciousness, our love, and our identities are just suddenly extinguished. We build these magnificent theological architectures to give ultimate meaning to our mortality.
As we wrap up this explainer, just consider the sheer ingenuity and hope embedded in human culture. We're all asking the exact same question, even if we arrive at entirely different answers. So I'll leave you with this provocative thought. Considering the vast diversity, yet fundamental similarity of these beliefs, what will you take away from this journey? Does it change how you view the life you are living right now? Keep asking questions, keep learning, and thanks so much for joining me today.